don't really know, and it may get interrupted in between. So any which ways, today's topic is something which is a pretty straightforward, simple topic where we are going to be dealing about investigations in infertility, right? So in order to talk about that, what I'm going to do is I'm straight going to start sharing my screen. Okay, and okay, let me just share the whiteboard, and I'm going to start off with the session. It's going to be a little quick, small, and a cute little session on what all you need to know as far as infertility is concerned. Okay, so can everybody read if I have written the word infertility? Is that visible?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So you must
Yes,
remember,
sir.
when we talk of infertility, you must always look at two people. The first person whom I'm going to write is the male partner, and the second person whom I'm going to write is the female partner. The reason I write male first is because male should be investigated the first. There is absolutely no question, no doubt about that, that male partners should be investigated the first. In fact, in our country, it is exactly the opposite. But a lot of you are practicing doctors, so you will understand what happens. Is that female will undergo every investigation to diagnostic hysterolaparoscopy, and male will not even undergo semen analysis. Understanding? Then when you do the semen analysis of the male, you understand that the male was with azoospermia. This is something which is extremely common in our country. So the first thing which you should do for the male partner is very simple, and that is the semen analysis. Now, I know one thing for sure. Family physicians like to do semen analysis in laboratories which are closest to their clinic and which offer maximum referral benefit. Okay, but that's one thing which you should not do for such an investigation. I am very well aware that normally semen analysis is going to cost you approximately 300 rupees. Okay, most of the times when it is such a cheap test, what happens is this is done simply on slide. Okay, this entire test is done on a slide and cover slip, which is absolutely wrong. I think one time in life, it's good to do a semen analysis at a little expensive place where the normal charges are going to be between 800 rupees to 1200 rupees, because they do semen analysis on something called as a macular chamber. Okay, and when they do semen analysis on a macular chamber, the amount of information which you can get is much more higher. The problem is, it is a very big problem. I think NEMA should take it up. This is a problem of our country, not just doctors. Out of 300 rupees, that laboratory will give you 30%. So they will give you what, 90 rupees as referral back. Okay. So actually they are only spending 210 rupees. Okay. In doing that entire test, out of which in that 210 rupees, some stupid technician is going to report. Okay. Without any quality control. So there is going to be no quality. And this is the semen analysis which you like to treat. A technician reported non-quality control semen analysis done at 300 rupees on a slide and cover slip. So the first thing which all of you should stop doing is doing that. Please do an expensive semen analysis. Let it be done from a very good laboratory. If you do semen analysis from good laboratories, you will get wonderful informations. All the information should be based on WHO's reference standards. Okay, and when you are doing an information based on WHO's reference standards, this is one thing which you must remember, which is critically important. Okay, normal count, normal motility, and normal morphology. These three things are very, very important for you to understand. The normal count should be at least more than 15 million per ml or more than 39 million in a sample. The normal motility, progressive motility, should be at least more than 40%, or rapid progressive, that is grade 3 and grade 4, should be at least more than 32%. Okay, grade 3 and grade 4. And normal morphology, if you go by strict criteria, the normal morphology should be at least more than 4% of the sperms which are reported to be as normal sperms. Now, this is the WHO reference standard. The reference standard is about to change, but this is the WHO reference standard from 2010. And this is something which needs to be very strictly followed. It is believed that a good semen analysis is going to need an abstinence of 3 to 5 days. Okay. Not more than 5 days. Okay. 3 to 5 days of abstinence. That gives you a very ideal reporting parameter. If you are doing it from good laboratories, then you will get videos, you are going to get images, you are going to get everything. The only thing is it's going to be expensive, and most of these good laboratories do not offer any form of cut practice. So that is the biggest challenge which we find in India. In doing semen analysis, majority people would like to send to a stupid laboratory. When they send to a stupid laboratory, then the patient is in trouble. The patient has to take medications and injections and all these things. Wrong medications are given, in fact. And when something like that happens, patient changes the doctor. When the patient changes the doctor, they ultimately come to a good clinic and they waste approximately 6 to 9 months. This is something which all of you must remember. And if possible, you can please see to it that you get a lot of improvement on this thing. Now, one thing which all family physicians should remember, that apart from semen analysis, some test which is very, very important is sperm, DNA, fragmentation. This is an expensive test. Definitely, your routine laboratory doesn't do it only. So here there is no question of doing anything which is wrong. This test is going to be in the range of 6,000 to 15,000. It depends on which laboratory you are doing it from, but this is the standard. Okay. And this is a wonderful test. This is usually done, especially in patients with unexplained infertility or in patients with prolonged infertility. Okay. These are the two important things which a family physician should remember. One thing which a family physician should remember, which I'll write down in black, which you should not do very commonly, is ultrasound of the scrotum. You don't do it. Let the fertility specialist decide if the patient needs an ultrasound of the scrotum or not after doing a clinical examination. Don't just take a judgment that yes, I'm going to do a USG of the scrotum, because when you do a USG of the scrotum, most of the times you get a report of varicocele grade 1. Okay, this is the report. So what do? You send to your urologist and he will say that we will do a varicocelectomy. Varicocelectomy is probably not indicated as long as the size, the gradation is more than grade 3, grade 4, and it has severely affected the counts, causing oligospermia. In such situations only, you may have a role of doing a varicocele surgery. The only second indication is pain in the testis. So one thing which family physicians must really avoid, and that's why I'm writing it in black, and that is to do an ultrasound of scrotum on your own. I know 90% of the people will not listen. 90% of the people will still do it, because this is a very good source of earning money. Varicocele is a very good source of earning money. Okay. But this is something, if you really want to do some genuine fertility practice, then you should completely avoid doing an ultrasound of the scrotum. Let your urologist or let your fertility specialist decide if an ultrasound of the scrotum is recommended or not recommended. All right. In male fertility, you should remember just these things. When you want to investigate the male, the first thing is that you should investigate the male and not the female. You must do a semen analysis. Semen analysis must be done at a good place. The only second thing which you need to remember is that there is something called a sperm DNA fragmentation, which is an expensive test, which is done predominantly for unexplained infertility or prolonged infertility. Okay. This is something which you really need to remember as far as male infertility is concerned on a family physician level. If you've understood this, and this is the most important thing in fertility practice, that if you treat the male correctly, 50% of your problems are solved. Okay. Now, once the male comes back to you with a semen analysis report, and if the male is normal, then you can start examining, treating, diagnosing the female, because this is the easiest thing to do. Okay, the semen analysis. Let's assume somebody tells you that no, my patient is not willing for a semen analysis. Then please make them willing. Okay, somebody tells you he's my old patient, so let's investigate the female partner first. You are doing something which is wrong, but if you like doing wrong things, then we are no one to stop you in that. All right. Now we go on to the second partner who is important, and that is the female partner. In females, there are three things which are very, very important. One is history taking. 90% of the people don't do that. So that is why it is very important. Second is blood test. So somebody has answered that male ego comes in between. So by that logic, no, you should not be listening to my lecture. No, because I am also a male. Hai na? And you must be able to convince the male partner to get tested. Otherwise, really, it's going to be a very sad state of affairs, because that is exactly what is happening in our country at the moment. I really don't understand why. I mean, I'm sorry to use this language, but I've told this even to Dr. Temburnikar sir when I met him. Why is it that in India, family physicians like to refer patients to people who have absolutely no fertility knowledge? Is it for, I don't know, is it because they are relatives? Is it because they want cut practice? What is it? Some of you can probably take the chat box and answer very honestly that why is it that primarily fertility patients are referred to non-fertility experts. There is no answer to that. I think the only answer which people can probably give is convenience and cut practice. So any which ways, history taking in a female partner who is infertile is absolutely important. Your history is going to help you identify the commonest problem, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Second commonest problem, which is endometriosis. And third commonest problem in our country, that is low AMH. All these things are actually diagnosed by history very nicely, provided you take a very good history. And I think if you want to investigate the female partner, history taking is the most important thing. Second comes the blood test. Now, I know what happens in blood test. People like to do these blood tests. Okay, see this. People like to do FSH. People like to do LH. People like to do TSH. People like to do prolactin. Some people really love to do torch test. I don't know why. They love to do torch test. So let me tell you which all investigations are actually important as far as blood test is concerned. TSH is important. Prolactin is important. And the one thing which none of you do, that is AMH. It is the most important. Okay. This is the most important thing. Absolutely important. You must do these tests. Torch test. Let me tell you role of torch test in fertility. Okay. It is outdated. So do it if you want to spend your money. You want to spend the money of your patient. Your dear pathologist is going to do all this stupid tests for you. But fertility people do not do torch test. Remember that. It is outdated for infertility. Role of FSH and LH is extremely limited. Okay, it is used only in special purposes. So do not spend your patient's money doing any of these things. If you really are worried about your patient by any chance, then you should be doing AMH, because this is very important. You should be doing TSH because that is very important, and you should be doing prolactin. These three are extremely important blood tests which people should understand and should follow as a routine panel. I know there are certain laboratories which come to family physicians and tell you that we have female infertility panel. This is a nice commonly available blood test, female infertility panel. The cost of this blood test is around 5,000 rupees, and family physicians are getting a referral of approximately 1,200 rupees in this. Okay. In fact, even patients know that family physicians get a referral of 1,200 rupees. So there is no surprise in all these things. Okay. Do not do this. Do not do this because this is unindicated. This gives you reports of FSH, LH, torch, and something which is absolutely waste, that is testosterone. You need not do testosterone in all cases of infertility. Testosterone, if at all indicated, is only indicated when there is PCOS plus hirsutism. Okay. Otherwise, you really need not spend your patient's money doing all these things. All right. Finally, after all these things, you come to radiology. In radiology, there are two things which people should know. Okay. One is a tube testing, and second is USG of the pelvis. These are the two most important things that you should know. Okay. Tube testing is done by two methods. One, you can do it as an X-ray, which is called as an HSG. Remember, this is a painful process when you do an HSG. And second, you can do a painless process, which is called as SSG. Okay. That is a saline sonography. That is a very commonly done thing at good centers. This is something which is available at all places. HSG is available at all places. SSG needs a little bit of expertise to do. USG of the pelvis, when you are doing it, please do it in 3D. It is going to cost you approximately 4,000 rupees. Okay, please do this. Please do a USG in 3D. Do not just do a sonography. Please do a sonography on 3D. It is very important if you want to have correct infertility evaluation. The advantage with SSG is that it does not have a dye. It does not have a dye. It is saline based and it has very, very, very less pain. So if at all the good people, remember, all good people will always do SSG. All people who don't know anything will always do HSG because HSG is available very close to their clinic. HSG is done at maybe 5,000 rupees, at least in city of Bombay. When we go to Satara, it is done at 3,500 rupees. When we do it in Pune, I think it is done at 4,000 rupees. So this is a standard cost of doing HSG. SSG is normally done anywhere between 6 to 10,000 rupees. Okay, that is the cost of SSG. So maybe for 1,000 rupees more, you should give patient the benefit of doing a much better investigation. All right. And that is something which, again, all family physicians should categorically remember. There is absolutely no doubt about all these things. Okay. Whenever it comes to interpretation of these reports, this is something which is very important. So I wanted to cover this, and family physicians must understand. So now I'm going to be drawing separate diagrams to understand a very common thing which people don't really follow. No. So I'll just show this to you. Okay. Why do you need to do all these things? Why? First question is why. You know, there are people who come and tell me कि मैंने तो history ले लिया और मुझे history में पता चल जाएगा कि tube खुला है. Don't do this bullshit in front of fertility specialist people. Keep all that nonsense to yourself. There is nothing like that. See, understand this diagram and never forget this diagram in your life. This is the fallopian tube. There is a uterus here. And you have another fallopian tube. Correct? Now, besides the fallopian tube is the ovary, and besides the fallopian tube is the ovary. Here is the vagina, and here is the cervix. So what is the husband going to do? Husband is going to deposit the sperms in the vagina. While having intercourse, semen gets deposited in the vagina. Correct? It has to pass through the cervix. And after passing through the cervix, it has to enter inside the endometrial cavity. 90% of the sperms will get killed here. How many? 90% sperms are going to get killed here in the cervix. Okay. After the sperm enters inside the uterine cavity, it has a choice to make. आधे लोग इधर जाएंगे, आधे लोग इधर जाएंगे. बराबर है? God is very smart. God has decided that only one egg is going to rupture. So let's assume the egg is ruptured on this side. Let me draw the egg in blue color. Egg is ruptured here. Okay, this sperm and this egg is going to get fertilized in the fallopian tube. So fertilization happens in the fallopian tube. As a result of that, tube testing is very, very important. You need to have patent fallopian tube. Okay, you need to have a patent fallopian tube to become pregnant. As a result of which, your SSG is critically important. I've seen majority of the people who like to do all sorts of treatments without doing the tubal pathology examination. Whenever you are doing an SSG or an HSG, it will give you three answers. Either the tube is open, or it is blocked here, or it is blocked here, or it is blocked here. This is called as cornual block. This is called as mid-tubal block. This is called as fimbrial block. The answer for all three is to do laparoscopy. Along with laparoscopy, you must do something called as salpingoscopy. What is salpingoscopy? You know, salpingoscopy is examination of the fallopian tube from inside. The fallopian tube contains cilia. Okay, you need to examine how good the cilia is. You need to examine. I know there are some people, and most of the practitioners here are Ayurvedic practitioners, so they love doing something called as Uttar Basti. Okay, my only understanding of Uttar Basti, so I'm not going to answer any politically nonsensical questions on Uttar Basti, but my answer about Uttar Basti is this: Uttar Basti should be done by an expert. This is what I have realized. It should be done by a person who knows how to prepare that decoction. Okay, don't randomly propagate stating Uttar Basti will take care of corneal block, it will take care of mid-tubal block, and it will take care of fimbrial block. Don't answer it like this. Don't give this rubbish to your patient. Remember to mention that Uttar Basti, if done by an expert, okay, I know 2-3 people. I think they are very good people, so I'll name them. Okay, I know 2-3 people who are very good. One is Dr. Vishnu Bhavne. He is excellent. Okay, he does very good. Second is Dr. Archana Dafde. I have seen her doing excellent work in that. Okay. Third is Dr. Renuka Kulkarni madam. She is actually practicing in Pune, and I have seen a lot of successful cases from her. Okay. These 3-4 people I know. These people are experts. If an expert does Uttar Basti is very good. But if I do Uttar Basti, Jay Mehta does Uttar Basti will fail in my hands because I am not an expert. Understanding? So Uttar Basti should be done by an expert. But remember one thing, the gold standard is still laparoscopy plus salpingoscopy. If Uttar Basti is failing, then the answer is to do this, laparoscopy plus salpingoscopy. But again, I'm saying without any ego, because I really love Ayurveda, I've read a lot about that. Uttar Basti, when done by an expert, gives you phenomenal results. And I'm witness to that. So I have a lot of respect for people who do Uttar Basti very nicely. All right. When you are doing laparoscopy, please do laparoscopy plus salpingoscopy. That is very important. You need to identify if the cilia is normal or if the cilia is not normal. All right. Quite a lot of times when patients do not have any of these problems, okay, the biggest problem which patients experience is, doctor मेरे सगळे रिपोर्ट नॉर्मल आहे तरी पण मला कशासाठी प्रेग्नेंसी होत नाही, मेरा सब रिपोर्ट नॉर्मल है तो भी मुझे बच्चा क्यों नहीं रुक रहा है. Okay, this is the commonest problem. So let me put some facts in front of you. Again, I know there are a lot of fertility doctors and fertility clinics who give tremendous, I think some of them even give international parties, Bangkok, Thailand, and all these things. But take down these things in writing. This is what a family physician should never forget before I conclude. What is the success rate of fertility procedures? What is the success rate of fertility treatments? If you are trying naturally, yeah, torch test I already answered, Dr. Anil. It is a bullshit test. Okay, so don't do it. If you are trying naturally, then every month you have a success rate of around 6 to 8%. If you are doing IUI at a good place, then your success rate is going to be around 12 to 14%. If you are doing IVF or ICSI, then your success rate at max is going to be 35 to 40%. If the lady is less than age 35 years. As age keeps on increasing more than 35, the success rate keeps on decreasing. Beyond age of 40 years, the success rate is going to be around 20%. This is the most important slide. This is the most important slide of this entire session. Understanding, nobody on earth can change this. So when you have an IVF clinic who is offering you, kitna dete aajkal? I think 30,000 rupees cover cash referral they give you. And 30,000 rupees is the referral. And if they offer a 80% success rate, I know that the referral is very good, but don't give them this success rate. This is wrong. Tell the patient, you must tell the patient that this is the actual success rate. And very, very important, in doing treatments, you will need multiple attempts. You cannot go to a doctor and say कि भाई मेरे को कल सुबह को प्रेग्नेंट बनने का है, चलो फटाफट दवा इंजेक्शन दो और मेरे को कल सुबह को प्रेग्नेंट करके दे दो. You cannot talk like that to your doctors. You need to tell your patient that these are treatments which need multiple attempts. Okay, this is something which is absolutely important. Okay, and this is something which everyone needs to follow in their practice. Okay, with this, Actually, this was exactly 29 minutes what I spoke. Okay. I actually wanted to keep this session only for 30 minutes because I wanted this to be a session which is by hearted by people. All family physicians should by heart this. I'm very sorry. I used words like referral and cut practice and all. I know 90% of the people are very good and they don't fall for all this. But there are 10% of the people who spoil the name of gynacs as well as family physicians, understanding by doing such malpractices. And because they do such things, patients lose interest in fertility. Because they do such things, patients do not want to do fertility treatments. Okay, I probably do the highest number of fertility treatments in our state of Maharashtra. I've seen everything. Nobody can act over smart in front of me. I'm pretty well connected. Understood? That's why I'm telling you these things. Don't do this. Let it be expensive, but please do it ethically, because remember, even Ayurveda mentions this. Giving somebody their own child, no, is the greatest blessing a doctor can do on a patient. Okay, so let's just keep that in our mind. With that, I conclude my lecture. I'll be happy to listen to remarks from the moderator, and if there are